haste makes waste, and pride goes before a fall, and a lot of people that don't care how much they spend, that lasts for a while, and then they'll hit a time in their lives when they wished they would have cared. Now there's a lot of big lies. It's not like people are going around telling you a lie. It's that people tell themselves this lie and they believe it, and they don't have to. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. But first I want to mention, for 10 years, well, when we first moved abroad, and we used to say we're the family that's never paid more than $300 or $400 for 3 or 4 bedroom houses and apartments, furnished and unfurnished. And you know, we said that for 10 years. I mean, eventually you're not going to be able to say that for like 30 years. But while that was happening, we made so many videos where we showcased the quality of the housing that we got. And clearly we made the houses a home. I mean, that's, you know, part of the deal, that you make the house into a home, and you make it something that perhaps, you know, needs those little finishing touches, and you add those finishing touches. But a lot of people don't want to do that, to the extent that they believe this lie that in order to live well, one must keep their consumerism attitudes intact. And when you start talking about being diligent about how one spends their money, also known as, I mean, I don't like labels like frugality because it has different connotations in different people's minds. So I don't really want to use that word, because we ourselves don't even call ourselves frugal. We call ourselves industrious frugalists, which is, it's a spin on it. It's different, and a lot of people don't understand what we mean when we say it. So I'm talking about the big lie. You know, people think that they have to hang on to that consumerist attitude, and they may not even realize they're doing it. But I'll give you an example. Like in Ecuador, when we were helping the Americans and Canadians come in and find the locally priced rentals. Now, there was a different group that was always making fun of people that were diligent with their spending, trying to make it sound like they were wasting their time. There was always this thing where, oh, you couldn't possibly be getting a decent home, you've got to be getting a hovel, or in other words, the idea was that, you know, in that price range you've got to be getting these dumpy places or something. And it wasn't true. Now I'll say this, I actually saw this with my own eyes happen in Ecuador. There was 2 cookie cutter houses. I mean, these 2 houses were exactly the same, but one of them had these slate tiles decorated on the living room wall. It was a plain wall, but it had these slate tiles on it in a pattern, you know, to make a decoration. And the other one didn't. And the one with the slate tiles was fetching like 50% more rent. Now, this is the kind of thinking I'm talking about here. And you know, 50% more rent for like 9 tiles that cost $1 a piece. You know, and you could probably hire somebody for 20 bucks or less to just glue them on your wall in the pattern that you want. But you know, a lot of people, they won't be bothered with little things like that. But my point here is the thinking, not whether somebody wants to be bothered or not, is the thinking of a consumer is much, much more different than the thinking of a diligent, industrious frugalist. And sometimes our industrious frugalist is misunderstood. And it has to come back to what it's not. It's simply not consumerist thinking. But you see people that still hang on to that thinking, and it's really difficult to shake off. And I see it in people, but because we've been in this space for multiple decades, to us it becomes ingrained within our lifestyle, and we just don't even think about it. It's a habit. And so this idea that if one is to be willing to consider making an effort into being more diligent with their expenses, somehow the thinking goes that somehow your standard of living, quote unquote, standard of living, is going to suffer somewhere. And nothing could be further from the truth. We're very transparent in our videos. And, I'm not saying that some of these places, just to talk about as an example, aren't gingerbready or don't have things to them that make them appear that they're a little bit a little higher up in some cases in appearance. As I said, however, the 9 slate tiles is an easy thing, and it's an easy thing to paint walls custom colors and make them look nice and that kind of thing. If that's something that's a great concern, for us it wasn't that great a concern. Another example of the consumerist attitude, I had a guy that we were helping to find a locally priced rental, and I found him a house, and it was a really nice home. Now this is Latin America, and in Latin America they have a different view towards colors. You probably know this, but the bathroom sinks and bathtubs and stuff, they were like lavender or purple or something, more like lavender, and he freaked out. And he just became abusive, like, how dare you even think that I would, live in such a place with it. And there was nothing wrong with the house, with a purple sink, and he just blew us off. But if you go to Panama City, you will find houses listed for $1 million, not a joke, that have purple sinks and, yellow walls and South American colors. So clearly somebody didn't do their homework and didn't know what they were, what the deal was. Everybody doesn't have that attitude towards certain things abroad. So my point is, this attitude is something that is within us, and it is something that on an introspective level, it's one of those things that we should be considering as far as the consumerist attitude, whether or not that's really true. Is that really true that you have to give up some kind of standard of living in order to be more diligent in your spending? Now, it could be that the man just didn't like purple, but he could have said that. He didn't act that way. He acted as if he was offended that anyone would even think that he would be so insulted as to think that he would live in a place with a lavender colored sink. That's how he acted. And just other things like people spending way more money on rents for houses that I know for a fact, for example, people from high cost of living areas. This is just an example, not picking on anybody. They were coming from high cost of living areas like, say, Florida, and they were paying like $850 for houses in a neighborhood. I knew those houses weren't worth more than $350, $400. So the point is that it's all a mind trick. It's a mind trick, and therefore the thinking that your standard of living is going to suffer if you do anything about being diligent about how you deploy your resources, because that's a better way to say it to me for an industrious frugalist. How you deploy your resources rather than spend your money. It's more of an abundance mindset, which I spoke about in the other video, considering how you deploy your resources. And here's another quick example. Now, if you've got so much money that it doesn't matter to you, that you can buy brand new cars every 2 years and you don't care about the amortization loss to value as you drive it off the lot, well, this video is not for you. But it really is for you. It's for everyone, because haste makes waste, and pride goes before a fall. And a lot of people that don't care how much they spend, that lasts for a while, and then they'll hit a time in their lives when they wish they would have cared. And so beyond that kind of level, for other people, you know, it's a well-known fact that you buy a brand new vehicle and you drive it off the lot and it's already lost, I don't remember, 10% of its value just driving it off. You drive it off the lot and drive it back, you can't get your money back already, you know, so to speak. And so there's a whole used car market. If somebody's going to poo-poo buying used, there's $1 billion global used car market that says that's just a ridiculous position to take. You know, you can buy a car at the spot where 80 or 90% of its devaluation or depreciation is already built in. And if you do the job right, you can get it with low miles and in good condition. So nothing wrong with buying a new car if that's where you're at, but we're talking about getting off the treadmill, simple life. And I don't like words like simple life, because again, between frugal and simple, it just gives people this mental picture of austerity and deprivation, and that's just not what we're about. We're about being industrious frugalists after all. Anyhow, I hope you got something out of that. Leave us a few comments, 2, 3, 4 pot comments, and hope you're having a wonderful day. Thanks for coming to the channel.